Okay, so I'm joined for our latest Take a Seat interview by Susan McFadyen, who's got several hats that she wears, but one of the hats she wears in conjunction with the Chamber is that she's one of our board directors and our vice president. So it's brilliant to have Susan on. Susan, thank you so much for taking the time to come on and do this for us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're very, very welcome. We kind of just start by just asking people to tell us a little bit more about themselves, what they do, and what makes them interested. So that's setting you up for a bit. Feel a bit mean now, but yeah, Susan, tell us a wee bit more about what you do and what goes on in your world.
Okay, so I'm a partner in the corporate and commercial team at Blackadders Solicitors, based in the Dundee office. So it's quite a wide role, really. I deal with a wide variety of work, really helping businesses and companies grow and develop, and all the sort of compliance, etc., that comes with that. So the type of work that I do is mainly I do a lot of transactional work, so buying and selling companies and businesses. Takes up a lot of the work. Also things like joint ventures, so two parties working together to develop a project or a common business. Also corporate fundraising, so companies raising money to help them develop and grow, and really all sorts of commercial contracts, so everything from it could be terms and conditions for a website to partnership agreements to licensing agreements and so on. I also do a bit of employee ownership work, so that's something we've done quite a lot of over the last few years, and that's really gaining quite a bit of traction as a sort of exit strategy for businesses, particularly when you've got a business that's been built up over a long period, and maybe the founder has nobody in their family to pass it on to. They'll sell it to the employees. So we're doing quite a bit of work in that area, which is interesting. In terms of sectors, we work with all types of sectors, but we do a lot of work particularly in the tech sector, digital and media, gaming, etc. There's quite a lot of that in Dundee. Also hospitality and leisure, healthcare, do a lot of pharmacy and dentistry work, and food and drink. So those are the sectors that we're particularly focusing on at the moment. But like I say, we deal with everything and anything, and all sorts of sizes of businesses, from sole traders to large international companies. So it's a good spread of work that keeps life interesting.
That's absolutely fascinating. How long have you done that then? Was that something that you were keen to get into from the very outset, or did you land in that kind of a role?
Well, when I was sort of starting my traineeship, I did my traineeship and worked for a long time in Edinburgh. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but you get the chance to sort of sample different areas of law during your traineeship. And while I was doing that, I decided that corporate was for me. So since I qualified, I've always been doing corporate and commercial work, and that's about, God, show my age, but probably about 22 years, something like that ago. So yeah, I've been doing it for quite a while.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I've got so many questions, but we're not really here to talk about too much about that. But tell me what you like best about what you do.
So I really like dealing with people and sort of finding out more about their businesses. On the sort of, I really like, I suppose, two separate ends of the spectrum. I like it when people are starting up at the outset and they've got their business idea and they're quite excited about it. It can be a bit of a scary time. It's a bit of a risk. They might have left their job and they're setting up this new idea, and I love to see that grow if it does, and to become a success. But at the other end, I quite often deal with people who are selling their business or their company, and I like that because it can be a bit of a stressful time for people selling, and no matter the size of the transaction, it's a big deal for them. And if they've built it up over years, it can be quite an emotional process as well, selling their baby. And so I like to sort of help them through that process.
Fab. I'm also asking people random questions when we've been talking to them. So this one is definitely falls into the random category. So what is your favourite time of the year and why?
Yeah, probably I would say winter, which I don't know if many people say that, but I quite like the winter. People often moan about don't like going out in the dark in the morning and coming back in the dark at night, but I really like that. I like moseying about in the dark. And I'm not particularly outdoorsy person, so I'm quite happy sort of being inside with the cold outside and with a hot chocolate and a book. And I love Christmas as well, which is a big part of it. So I really enjoy the kind of the build up to Christmas and shopping for other people. I don't like shopping so much for myself. I like shopping for other people. So enjoy all of that. The magic of Christmas lives on.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know that's I think your answer encapsulates even why we even asked that question, because it is quite personal, isn't it, for everybody? But there's something about getting people to kind of describe that makes them light up. And the very first interview that I did, Christmas was the answer.
Oh, really?
So, but you're absolutely right. Winter hasn't really come up an awful lot. But yeah, I mean, even as you're talking about it and you're describing it, I'm thinking, I quite like, although I like the warmth of kind of summertime. There is something about the dark and all the twinkly lights, and it's just lovely that we get the changes, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think
I love those
that's
kind
another
of cold, kind of crisp winter day with that winter sun. I really like that time of year.
Yeah. I've been talking to people since the pandemic began, and we've been talking about all sorts of different things, and we're coming in and out of restrictions as I'm talking to different people. But we are still pretty restricted at the moment, although not as much as we have been. But what is that one thing that you kind of are still missing, I guess, about what we can't do at the moment because of restrictions?
Probably like the ability to plan things, because I'm a bit of a planner, and particularly with holidays and hotels in particular, which are my favourite thing in the world. I've always enjoyed, thinking about my holidays and researching my holidays and planning them and booking them. And I think, just over the last year and a half to not have that, you don't know where you are from one week to the next, and not being able to sort of look forward the next few months and think, right, I'm going to go here or I'm going to do this. It's quite hard not having that, and I do miss the sort of holiday excitement that we've not had. That's probably the main thing. I should probably say meeting up with friends and colleagues. I take second place to my holidays, but I do miss that as well.
And everybody's business and role and kind of things that they're doing has changed definitely since the pandemic. But has there been something that's a standout within either your own role or your team or the business that you can say has changed during the pandemic?
Well, I suppose like most other people, the big change for us was everyone moving to working from home, because we were pretty much, more or less 5 days in the office, everybody in the office type business. And, just all of a sudden, obviously, in the course of 24 hours, that completely changed to everybody working from home. So we were pretty lucky. I thought it went really smoothly. I don't know if our IT team would say it was that easy, but to the rest of us, it looked really easy and it was pretty seamless, which was really good actually, because my team in particular were really busy at the time, and I had a lot of transactions on the go and things completing, so it worked really well. So I suppose like everyone else, we've kind of realised that can work for people, and it's not impacted the business really. I suppose the other big change has been, again, like everyone else, using things like Teams and Zoom, which we'd never really used before. But it's been a great way of keeping in touch with people. I've got some clients that maybe are down in London, and I've seen them 4 or 5 years ago was the last time I might have seen them in person, but now I'm seeing them just about every week on Teams. So that's been a great kind of learning curve, I think.
And what will the future hold for your business and your role, do you think?
Well, I think we're still sort of thinking about what the future holds in terms of return to the office and so on. But I think there will be more flexibility than there has been in the past, and probably a bit more of blended working. We've invested quite a lot in technology during the pandemic. It's really kind of accelerated things that we were looking at anyway. So things like, allowing electronic signature. We've, got DocuSign now, which allows documents to be signed remotely. And that's something that a lot of our younger clients and tech clients were looking for anyway, rather than having to print something out and sign it and scan it back. So like I say, it has accelerated that. And also things like remote client onboarding procedures now, which are a lot easier. So I think we'll probably keep investing in technology, because that's inevitable, that's going to be needed in the future. And otherwise, I think we'll just keep trying to develop and grow the business, and look at where we can expand our client base or our specialisms, and keep listening to what our clients want.
I guess we're now talking in nearly 3-year terms, aren't we, over this pandemic? The first year we were through it. This is the middle year probably, and then next year I think it's going to be a challenge as well. So I guess you're going to find probably that some businesses will, people will just want to exit their businesses after all this trauma of trying to keep it through a pandemic, won't you? Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, some businesses will fail, unfortunately, but everyone's been sort of thinking that that would happen, but obviously it's not happened yet because of the level of government support available. So, there are lots of routes that people can take. So I think you could see a lot of restructurings and reorganizations, rather than hopefully absolute failures, but, people changing the structure of their business or, changing their financing arrangements, etc. So I think we'll see quite a bit of that.
Yeah. And at what stage do you get involved in that kind of work? Do you do a lot of advice and guide people through what their options are, or do they tend to come to you when they kind of know what they're trying to do?
No, we can give advice on that. I mean, we work quite a lot with insolvency practitioners as well, who, despite the name, do a lot of work before it gets to the stage of insolvency. So we do, in conjunction with them, advise clients, and particularly, directors, on their responsibilities and duties and so on when things aren't going well, because there's a lot that you've got to be mindful of if the company's in financial difficulties. So yeah, I would say it's always important to take advice at as early a stage as you can, because there are options available.
Mm-hmm. And when we are more freely able to get out and about, what is on the top of your lockdown escape bucket list?
Oh God, that's a big list. What's not on it? Everywhere. Well, last year I was going to be going to Canada, so I would like to try and reprise that potential trip. So I've been to the East Coast before, but I would really like to go to the West Coast and Vancouver and Banff and the little kind of glass top train that goes through the Rockies. I would like to do that. So that's a big trip. I'd like to go to Hong Kong. I did a secondment there quite a few years ago now, but I was there for about 6 or 7 months. So I'd like to take my children there and have them see it, because there's a lot to see there. A lot of people go for a stopover for a couple of nights, but there's actually loads of nice countryside and islands and beaches and things. So yeah, I'd like to go back there. But that's probably pie in the sky for a while. Budapest, if it's closer to home. Like I say, I've got a long list. Be here all day speaking about that.
Love it. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received, and why?
Probably a couple of things. Thinking back to my sort of early years. First one, probably that there's no shame in asking for help, because I'm probably naturally slightly a bit of a control freak, and natural tendency would probably be to think I can do everything myself. But I've learned through experience that you absolutely can't, and you need a team of people around you, and you need to be able to delegate and ask for help when you need it. I think that's really important. And sort of similar to that, I suppose, is somebody again once said to me when I was a trainee, there's no such thing as a stupid question, and I think that's really important as well. And in our line of work, it's really important to not assume that you know what's happening, or a big one for asking questions all the time and just making sure that everyone is clear on what's going on, because I think you never stop learning, and there's something new to learn every day. So yeah, I think don't be complacent and ask questions.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of resonate with both of those, but I think you're right. I sometimes will ask the daft question because I genuinely don't know the answer, but also because you can be pretty sure that there are other people who've got the same question, and if they're not wanting to ask it, then you do have to sometimes kind of just ask that question. Yeah.
Sometimes I would ask a daft question, and it seems like a daft question, but actually then brings out something else that maybe nobody'd ever thought about, or that you weren't aware of. So I think it's always worth probing a bit more.
Definitely. And if you had a message for people out there about the things you've learned yourself about the world of work and business, what would it be?
Probably the importance of relationships generally, and really trying to work together with people. I've always kind of adopted an approach that I try to be collaborative with people rather than confrontational, and I think that has worked really well in my working life. I had a client recently, and he said, he'd done a deal previously with this same seller, and said, their lawyers are really difficult, they're really aggressive and very difficult to deal with, and their previous lawyer had really struggled with them. So I started dealing with them and found them absolutely fine. And I said to the client, they're absolutely fine. I'm getting on with them really well, and they're really reasonable, and blah, blah. And he said, well, maybe it was our lawyer that was really aggressive and difficult, you know, and I think that's true because, you know, if one person's difficult, then the other one will be difficult. And it's not to say that you'll be a pushover and agree with everything, but I think there's no point in being difficult for the sake of it. So I always try to work together with people when I can. And I suppose just being yourself and, you know, trying to build that relationship. Because I think for us and probably for most kind of service providers, you know, everyone can kind of offer that service in a way. There's lots of people who can do it, but I suppose the kind of personality and relationship thing is how you differentiate yourself from other people doing the same thing. So about, you know, building that relationship over a number of years normally.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I like that. And how do people get in touch with you if they fancy a chat?
So details are on the Blackadders website, which is blackadders.co.uk, or you can pick up the phone to Blackadders in Dundee. We're always happy to have a chat with people, you know, just initial chats. And I think people have a conception that as soon as they phone a lawyer, the clock will start ticking and they'll have a bill by the end of the phone call. That's definitely not the case. We're always, you know, happy to chat and to meet with people and see if we can help in any way.
Yeah, and we would all hope as well it's not that long until we can all just get a coffee and kind of get back to some sense of normality. Eh?
Well, fingers crossed. Yeah, hopefully we're getting there.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it's far away. Anyway, Susan, thank you so much for taking the time to come on and just have a bit of a chat and say hello. You have been on the board for I was going to say a good while, but that makes it sound as if you've been there for ages and ages. But you know, I think our board are hugely supportive at the chamber, and it's been massively useful and helpful to me to have a bunch of people that, I mean, you do hold us to account, but also just are there kind of being sort of quietly very supportive in the background, and you know, I would say you fall definitely into that camp of somebody that will sit in a board meeting and be really thoughtful and then go, what about that? And we all go, why did we not think of that? So I very, very, very much value your support, and thank you so much for coming on and just telling a little bit of your story for us today. So Susan, thanks so much. And if you're watching us back on this Take a Seat interview, then hopefully you've caught it on our new website, or it's on our YouTube channel as well, and we do share it on social media. And if you'd like to come on and be interviewed or even take part in our digital takeover, then please give us a shout. We'd love to kind of have a catch up and talk about it. So thanks so much. Thanks, Susan.
Thank you.